Am I the butthole for confessing to my wife that she's torturing me after she got assaulted? My wife, Claire 35F, went through an incredibly traumatic experience several months ago after a coworker she trusted crossed every boundary and shattered her sense of safety. Claire was devastated. She'd always been a strong, independent woman, but this incident changed her in ways I couldn't have prepared for. She became deeply withdrawn, stopped talking to her closest friends, and even avoided her family, people she'd been close to her entire life. As her husband, all I wanted was to support her and give her the time and space she needed to heal. I tried to reassure her that I was there for her, that I'd stand by her no matter what. At first, I took on most of the household responsibilities. Claire didn't want to leave the house, so I picked up groceries, cooked, cleaned, and handled all the logistics that she usually managed so well. I wanted to be her rock, to hold our life together while she focused on herself. I made arrangements for her to see a therapist, hoping it would be the first step toward her recovery. She agreed, but often missed sessions or backed out at the last minute, saying she just couldn't face it. In the months that followed, things started to unravel in our relationship. Claire's emotions became unpredictable. She was constantly on edge and had a short fuse about almost everything. She'd snap over things that seemed insignificant, like how I'd load the dishwasher or the way I folded laundry. She'd make biting comments, saying that I could never understand what she was going through because, as a man, I'd never know that kind of fear. And she was right, I didn't understand the depth of her pain. I didn't know how it felt to experience the kind of violation she had, and I felt a profound guilt for not being able to understand. As her pain intensified, I started feeling like a stranger in my own home. Conversations that used to be comforting turned into battles, with her accusing me of not caring enough or not being there for her. No matter how much I tried to help, I felt like I was failing. She'd question my every action, often dismissing my attempts to comfort her. She'd tell me that I was selfish for working late, even though I was staying late to cover additional bills since she'd taken a leave from work. I felt trapped, wanting so badly to be what she needed. But no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. I kept hoping things would change. I told myself that she was going through unimaginable pain, that I could bear her anger if it meant she had an outlet, but her resentment grew, and I started feeling completely isolated. I was beginning to dread going home, constantly worrying about how she'd react to me, what I might say that would set her off. I no longer felt like her husband but rather like a person standing in for her anger. One night, after another intense argument, she told me she felt alone even when I was there and that my support was useless. She said I'd never understand the way her world had shifted, how she felt completely broken inside. Hearing this shattered me, because, deep down, I'd started to feel like I was breaking too. But I didn't say anything. I just swallowed my own feelings, telling myself that she was the one who needed support, not me. Eventually, the weight of it all became too much. One evening, after another emotionally charged exchange, I broke down. I told Claire that I felt like her anger was becoming torture. I said that while I knew she was in unimaginable pain, the way she was treating me was tearing me apart. I told her I still loved her deeply and that I wanted to be there for her, but I was struggling. She looked at me in shock and went silent. Then, after a long pause, she started crying. She told me she hadn't realized how her pain was affecting me and that she'd been so wrapped up in her own suffering that she'd assumed I could handle everything. She confessed that she'd been pushing me away intentionally, fearing that her vulnerability would make me see her as weak or broken. In her mind, if she pushed me hard enough and I stayed, it would prove that I truly loved her. Hearing this broke my heart all over again, as I hadn't realized the depth of her fear and self-doubt. Since that night, things have been slowly improving. We both started attending therapy. Claire continued her individual sessions, and we also started couples therapy. Claire admitted in therapy that she'd been unintentionally projecting her pain onto me because I was the safest person to lash out at. It was painful for her to confront this, but it helped her see how deeply her trauma was affecting our relationship. For my part, I had to acknowledge that my silence was only allowing her behavior to continue. I had been so afraid of adding to her pain that I never stopped to think about what I needed in order to be a good partner. Through therapy, I've learned to express my feelings more openly, and Claire has been making an effort to be more mindful of her actions and words. We're still on a difficult journey, but there's hope. Claire has started reconnecting with friends and family, rebuilding her sense of self, and I'm learning to be both supportive and honest about my own needs. Therapy has given us tools to communicate better, and while there are still challenging days, we're beginning to find a new balance. So, am I the butthole for finally speaking up about my own pain? Or should I have continued to endure everything in silence, knowing that she was dealing with trauma beyond anything I could imagine?